a new model and use the wizard approach. So let me explore. We have open. I'll just open the data model. So this is how your data model will look like. So if you observe, all of them are disabled. All the properties are disabled. The reason being, so the first thing that a data modeler has to do after getting into the simple thin-client data modeler in BICS, he just needs to log to edit. If he doesn't log to edit, he'll just have the minimal options. So he can just refresh the model or he can just close the model. So if you want to edit, you just need to log. So it says you have logged the model. Only you can edit the data model while it is logged. When you are done, publish the model to make it available as a subject area for analysis. So let me take you through all the different panes and the properties that we have. Then I'll come back to other properties that we have at a subject area level, at a data model level. Then I'll take you and explore the properties of a fact table and properties of a dimension table. Then we'll create one fact table and one dimension table, and we'll associate that, and we'll build a report. So that's the agenda for the demo. So the first pane that we have is the database pane. So let's see the properties here. You can search or filter the database objects. So let me, in case if you're unfamiliar with the data model, so this will help you identify the database objects that you are looking out for. So we have refresh and create view. I'll just come back to create view towards the end. And if you observe, you have a grid icon available. So this is your, these are tables. So you can only see tables and views as part of the database pane. So let's open the properties. So you can add to model, you can inspect, and you can duplicate. So there are 4 different kinds of database objects that are available. One is the grid one, so which is nothing but a table. Then we have a magnifying glass. So we have a magnifying glass, so which is a view. So let me show you the properties. So you can add to model, inspect, you can delete the view. Deleting a view can be undone. So I'll just click yes. Then you can duplicate the view. So we also have a couple of other objects which are specific to this data model. I'll just take you through that as well. You have a tick mark for the grid, which means this particular table is already part of your data model. So if you observe, the properties, it says add to model is disabled. The property add to model is disabled. So in this case, since you have cloud B customer, so which is a dimension table. So how do you, for a confirmed dimension, I need to use the same dimension to build multiple stars. So how do I do that? So in OBIE we create aliases. So the same way you can create duplicates, and that duplicate can be used as part of your data model. So the fourth, so I have told you two types of database objects, tables and views. The other two are one which is already part of the data model, table or view, which is part of the data model. So this is table, and view with a magnifying, a magnifying glass with a tick mark, which means even this is part of the data model. So even for this, add to model is visible. You just have inspect, delete view, and duplicate. So in case if you want to leverage the view, you just need to duplicate the view. So these are the four different database objects that are available in data modeler. Then we have the data model pane. So the data model pane contains all the objects that are available in your dimension and fact tables. So if you observe, there are 4 facts and 5 dimensions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So there are 9 data model objects that are available. So here you have filter. So if you are working on an unfamiliar data model, then you can search it using the filter data model object. Then we have refresh. You can sort ascending or descending, and you can clear all the cache data. The next, the third pane talks about variables. So like OBIE, all the variables that you have in OBIE can be leveraged in BICS as well. So you have your static repository variable, you have your dynamic repository variable, you have your session variable, you have your presentation variable, you have your request variable. All the variables that you have in OBIE is available here. Let me create a sample variable to show you the properties. And just name it as training variable. So you have 2 options on the return value. It can return a single value, or it can return multiple values. Single value is a select column with or a select query with a single column in the select clause. And you have multiple values. So what multiple values means is you have the sample syntax available. So it says, let me just create a sample query for you. So I'm not going to test this because this table does not physically exist. So I'm just giving you a sample query. So this is how the multiple values query format will look like. Then we have the update value. So you have your on sign-in. On sign-in will pretty much work like your session variable. Then you have on a schedule. So when you select on a schedule, so it says you can run the SQL query on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on a minutely basis. starting from a particular start date. So this is pretty much similar to your repository dynamic variable. Then you have your never. Never works pretty much similar to your repository static variable. So you can just place a constant here. And if you want to know the formats, for date you have YYYY, MM and DD format. For time it is SS, MI, SS. For timestamp it's the combination of date and time. And for varchar it's some text enclosed with a single quote. And you have your number specified for a numeric data type. Then you also have undo redo. So I'll just give a sample variable. Sorry, sample value. So you have an option to delete. So this is about the variables. Then let me talk about roles. So roles will be more detailedly explained during security, but for now roles are set of privileges combined so that a particular user can be assigned to a particular role and he can leverage the functionalities that he is supposed to. This is at an application level. These are called application roles. So you can search for the roles in case if you have many. You can sort ascending or descending. I'll just cancel this. Then we have the permissions tab. So this permissions tab is at the sample app data model level. You can specify whether a particular role user, you want them to say, I want BI content author. Say if BI content author user cannot view my data model, so I can just make that hidden for all the BI content author users. Properties that we have is we can, since hidden is enabled, visible is enabled here, so you can make that visible or you can remove this. Then we have properties. So you can rename the data model or the subject area. So you also will get when was this last published and by which user was this last published. Then you have your list of connections that you have created. In the connections tab, let me just you have your connection tab. Yes. So you have two connections. So in your data model, so you have already locked the model in different browser session. If you lock the model here, you will lose any aspect. Since we have come out, we came out of the data modeler, treats this as a new session. So we are just locking the model again. Then we have create time dimension. I'll just let you know towards the end how do we create a time dimension. Then we have unlock model. Basically, unlock model is required for, suppose you have locked the model and you felt there are no changes that you need to perform at this point of time. And since there are no changes, you have revert model disabled. So how do you come out of this session? The way you come out of the session is you just click unlock model. When you click on unlock model, it doesn't, since no changes are made, so it will take you to the original state. So in case if you made some changes and you don't want the changes to be saved, excuse me, then the option you have is revert model. So it will revert the data model to the last saved state. Then we have clear all cache data. You can clear this model in the sense whatever the objects that you have as part of this data model will be completely erased. Then you can close the model, which means you will close this model. Then we have synchronize with database. So basically what synchronize with database means is, say you have the list of objects that are available as part of the database, schema as a service, or database as a service. So when you add to the model, one thing that you need to keep in mind is the data modeler will not allow you to change. Say you have your source column and you want to change the data type here. The BICS data modeler itself can do that. You will not be able to make any manual changes on that. In case if you want to make any manual changes, you need to create a custom column and you need to perform the changes manually. So coming back to synchronize with database. So whatever the suggestions that were suggested by the data modeler, if you are not satisfied with that, or you want the properties of the database to take over the properties that data modeler has suggested, then you just need to click on synchronize with database. So it has given you 82 warnings. So let me read out a particular warning to make you understand better. Nullable attribute mismatch for column customer number from table cloud as bill revenue calculation. Nullable attribute for the column is false. Nullable attribute for the database column is true. So basically, you have a column called customer number where the nullable property in database is true, whereas in data model it is automatically identified as it is not null attribute, and the data modeler has made it as not null. So if you want the property that you have on database to take over the property that is specified by the data modeler, you can just click on this. Or if you have multiple such, if you want to make multiple such changes, then you select all of them. Go here and say selected. But for now, I'm okay with the data modeler changes, so I'm not going to sync up selected. So that is synchronize with DB. So the same synchronize with DB is available at an individual table level. So basically you have synchronize with DB, but if I do synchronize with DB at this level, it performs only on the payment metrics fact table level. Let me just click that for you. So it just has one warning. So and it performs only on payment metrics. So the same option is available for you. Synchronize with DB. So we have the same option on the dimensions as well. So there is one more property that I have left in the data model properties section. So you have two connections that are available in your connections tab. So you have your default connection. In case if you want to move to DBS connection, so you can directly select it from the drop-down row. So what it says is, if you change the database, existing reports based on this model won't work unless all the required source objects are available in the new database. Always synchronize your model after changing to a different database. Would you like to continue? So basically, you have reports that is built on the sample app, which are pointing to the tables that is available on your default connection. So make sure you have this the same tables in your newly created connection so that all your reports will work. So basically that's what it means. I just wanted to show you one more thing. Let me see if there are any questions. So there is a check that you can perform whether the table that you get is pointing to the default connection. So you have your database schema as a service. Click on service instance URL, take you to the Apex. In Apex, click on SQL Workshop, your object browser. This will tell you the list of tables that is pointed to the database schema. So you have a way to double check whether it is pointing to the same database as schema service. So you have your Apex team development file, AICS revenue FC2 table. So this is how you do a cross check. Okay, let's come back to the overview tab. The next thing that I wanted to show you is, I'll open a particular dimension and show you the properties of particular dimension. So you have the following properties. You can delete, you can duplicate this particular dimension. In case if you want to reuse it in a different star. You can synchronize with DB. This is at the dimension table level. Then you can add a column. So I'll come back to add columns towards the end of this demo. Then we have inspect. Inspect is like explore. It will give you the list of properties. So these are the tabs that are available. You can give your logical name, and please remember the source of one dimension is only one. In the sense, it is extracted from a single table. Your product dimension is extracted from a single table. And you can provide the description. In case if this is a time dimension, you can enable this time dimension. And you can also enable the drift levels and the unbalanced products. Let me show you the properties at a column level. So you have a logical name you can provide. You can specify which source column it is being extracted from. You have, in case if you have a description, you can give it. This is what I was saying. So you cannot edit your data type. So this is decided by the data modeler. So in case if you want to sort it by a different column, see, generally the requirement would be your column A has to be sorted based on a different column in the table, in the same table. So in order to avoid the report level sorting, it is being done at this level only. So you have all the columns of your product dimension. So you can specify it here. Or in case if you want to sort it by a different column. Then you have your permissions, where you can specify your object level security. So you can add, say in case FBI advanced author should not view this brand column, you can add it. You want this to be visible for only advanced content author, then you can hide it from everyone, or you can just hide it from the BA advanced content author users only. Then we have data filters where you specify the data level security. So basically, say for the same advanced content author, say you want to restrict, this is the expression editor. So you want to restrict the BA advanced author user to view only say this thing. You can very well do that. And general questions that we get is, can we use any of the variables in the expression editor? You can very well use that. Any kind of variables that you create can be leveraged here. So this is about the column properties of dimension. You can undo, redo, cancel. Then we have the properties at the table level. Let me explore the properties. You can delete, say, synchronize with database and clear the cache data. You have the source data enabled. Then you have the sample data available. You can get the row count Then we have hierarchies. So you have two hierarchies here. Please remember, for a product dimension table, there are two hierarchies. I'll just let you know why I asked you to remember this. Let me show you how do you create a new hierarchy. So I'll rename the hierarchy. You have the properties here. You have rename. I'll name it as training hierarchy. So you have the total level and detail level, which comes by default. So in case if you want to add any columns in between total and detail level, you can add. So I want brand. I also want to add product. So you can reorder this when you do a right click. You can add a level, you can move left or right and go through the properties. So what is the level name? What are the key columns? You can alter them if required. Then you also have an option to delete the hierarchy. So if you observe, you have available property with a checkbox. What this means is if you enable this checkbox, it is available for your reporting. If not, you can create the hierarchy and maybe for future use, you can use it. Then you have your permissions tab. So this is where you specify your object level security. This is pretty much similar to how you have specified during the dimension column. Then you have the data filter. This is pretty much similar to how you, this is where you specify the data level security, but this is at a table level. So you can also create a data level filter and you can keep it for future use without enabling this. So I have taken you through the properties. Then I'll just cancel this. Then just wanted to show you one more thing in the dimension tables. You can create your custom column here. So basically, what do you mean by custom column? So if you observe, it's a custom expression that is built. So based on the custom expression that you give, your data type will be determined. So let me create a sample custom column for you to show how the data type gets changed when you alter the expression. Say, I'll just type something within single quotes. So it becomes varchar. So I'll just change it to some number, so it becomes int. So I'll give some decimal. it becomes float. So this is how you create a custom column. I've just added some constants. So based on the expression action and based on the value it returns, it automatically identifies the return type. So this is the essence of it. So let me take you through a fact table properties. So it also follows the same practice. You can specify a logical name, and you can, if you notice, even the fact table is also built based on a single source table. Then let me see. So basically, this is how you give a logical name, and you have the source column. Data type is identified based on the source column, and you have an aggregation mechanism or an aggregation function specified. So you have an option for same for all dimensions. So when you uncheck this, you just click add override. So basically what it does is, so it has, before this, let me explain you one more thing to make you understand even better. So if you go back to sample app, you have the join. So it says this icon resembles the join, and you have a scale icon which resembles the number of measures that it has in this particular fact table. So it has 5 joins. So it has an association with all the dimension tables. So basically it has 5 joins. One, it has a join with customers, it has a join with orders, it has a join with geography, and it also has a join with products. Then it has a join with time. So basically it has a join with all the 5 dimensions that are available. So I'll just go back to the properties of the column. So if you remove same for all dimensions, so basically what it means is, so there are 5 dimensions that are associated with this particular fact table. So all the dimensions will leverage, if you say same for all dimensions, all the 5 dimensions will have count distinct aggregation function applied. So in case if you want the aggregation rule to be different for each dimension, you can specify it here. So you have your, for time, you want count. And for customers, you want count distinct. So for geography, it's count. So the same way you can add as many number of dimensions that you want from the associated dimensions. Then you also have the property which we have already explored, sort by a different column. This gives a list of columns that we have on the fact table. So if you want to sort it based on different column, you can do plus. Then you have your permissions tab where you specify the object level security. So this is pretty much similar. Then we have the data filters. So we have something different here. So let me add. Say you want BI consumer role user. So I'll open the expression editor. So you are just working on advanced calculation fact. So if you observe for a fact table, along with advanced calculation fact, you also have associated dimension specified here. So from the geography, I'll specify so I want BI consumer role user to view only image region data. So now you are working on a fact table, but the join condition that you have specified is based on the dimensions. Or the filter condition that you have specified is based on the dimension. Then we also have something called levels. Sí. Como a las 2:30, 3 de la tarde. ¿Por qué? No, de 9 a 12, pero en el horario del Pacífico. Entonces, de 11 a 3. A las 3. Es para... level tab. Okay. So this is where you set the content level. And I asked you to remember for product dimension, you have two hierarchies, products and product types. So both of them are enabled. So they are available here. So if you want to set say you have two hierarchies. Out of that, you want the product types hierarchy to be applied for this particular column. So you can specify it here. So you can specify it at whatever level you want to test it. You have undo and redo. And you can delete it. Delete the particular column. The other properties are pretty much same as the same for dimension. You have the source data, you have the permission tab, where you can specify your object level security. You have data filter. And here here it is pretty much similar to the way you have seen the fact column, for the fact column. So you have your fact table and dimension table, both are available. Next thing that I wanted to do is I'll manually add a particular dimension table and a particular fact table, and I'll create a join. So let me go to dimension table. So I have some cricket related tables. So I'll just select that. So before adding this, I just wanted to show you one more thing. You can either add table or view. Let me come back here. Click on add. If you observe, all the 5 tables are being displayed both in dimension and facts. So in manual approach, when you are trying to add a particular table, it doesn't differentiate between fact and dimension. That is up to the user who adds it. So I'll just add this ODI results in my fact table. Then let me just add click ODI teams. Click OK. Please bear with me. The system is pretty slow today. So if you observe, there is no join. So we have, this is what I was talking about, validate model, which is pretty much similar to the consistency check. Let me just click that. We are aware that we did not create a join. So let's see what error your VACS throws when you don't have a join. So it says the following tables are not joined to any other table. It says CRIC ODI results and CRIC ODI teams. So I'll just create a join. We just have CRIC ODI results. The columns are not yet refreshed. Okay. So we have team ID or team ID. Let me select team ID. And I have CRIC ODI teams. So it is still refreshing. Okay. Then we have the team ID. I'll just click So now you see join conditions have changed to 1. So you see something red, which means there are no measures in this particular fact table. So it doesn't throw you any ranking error. Let me add a particular aggregation rule on that. So I'll just select average and I'll specify average aggregation rule on that. Okay, it got changed. Let me click done. Okay, now you see the aggregation rule is also applied. Let me just publish the model. So it says sample has been successfully published. So when you directly click on publish model, it checks the validity of the model and then publishes. Now let me create a sample report, create analysis. So based on I have my team. I will also add the position and I'll add the scores, result and start date. So let me go to the reports, results tab. Okay, so I get it two ways. So on 5th Jan 1971, Australia has played a match against England and Australia has won. And I get both the statistics, which is both the information, which is a little confusing. So I'll just add a filter. I'll select. So this is a sample report which you can build. So it is 10:30 now. We'll take a 10-minute break. We'll just resume at 10:40. Let me see if there are any open questions. So we'll take a 10-minute break and we'll come back at 10:40. So in the first part of the demo, we have just seen On an existing model, how do you add the data model objects manually? So as part of second session, we'll just see, I'll just name it as training NAS. I'll just point this to default connection. Is now without a tick mark. So which means the data model is table or a set of data model objects using click add to model. So you have add as a fact table, add as a dimension table, or add as a fact and dimension table. I just received a feedback that my voice is breaking, so I think it's better now. So I'll just click OK. So it is analyzing the VIC's revenue FT2 table. So you have one fact created. You have one fact created and one dimension. So I'll just name this as training fact. So you can also add any columns related to the product table which you feel is missing from the list of tables, from the list of columns that is available here. Or you can add a dimension table, a new dimension table, I will name it as, say I have customer details here, so I'll just name it as first, and I'll specify the columns. So I have my customer number and customer name. I'll just add only those two columns. Okay, only one column was added, so I'm fine with that. I'll just click next, which means it has one fact table, one dimension table. The newly added dimension table gets reflected in the next screen, and it has 12 measures, 4 attributes, and 2 joins. Just click next. So it says specify the primary key. So I would add customer number as the primary key, and the column also gets added, or it will be identified as a foreign key here. I'll just click next again. So it says you have 3 views created. and one fact table, 2 dimensions table, and 2 joins. So just click create. So it has created all of them. And now it doesn't have any aggregation rule specified. So I'll just add an aggregation function. The properties should remain the same, so I'll not go and explore the properties again. And the next thing that I wanted to show you is create a time dimension. So we have the logical name provided to the database table, and we have the time dimension table and the hierarchy. So I specify all the hierarchy levels. I have checked all the hierarchy levels that I wanted to create. So basically it performs 4 steps. First step, it creates a database table and it loads data for the database table. And you have a dimension table that gets created with the hierarchy. In this case, it is 6 levels. So I'll just click create. So it has created the dimension, the database table, and it is loading the data. It generally loads the data from 1970 till 2020, and the time dimension is granulated at day level. And you have the key columns named date ID and calendar date that are unique and can be used to join. So it's just simple to create a time dimension. And there are 2 more topics that I wanted to cover with respect to data modeling. One is create view. So let me give you a background of create view. So in all the dimension or fact tables that I have shown you, I asked you to remember the table on which the particular dimension or a fact was on, or the fact was created. It was just based on a single table. So in real-time scenario, it's very rare that you create your dimension or a fact from a single table. Generally, it is based on multiple tables. So in case if you have multiple tables, so how do you achieve that requirement? So there are 2 ways to do that. One is go to the SQL query tab in create view. So you identify the columns that is required for populating dimension or fact table, and you build your query there, and you can just paste the query here. Or the other way is say in our sample case, I just name it training NAS view, and I'll drag the table. So we have just taken Crick ODI results and Crick ODI teams. So these 2 are tables. Let's see, take a table and a view. So we have v_Crick team. We'll just add that. So we have Crick team and ODI results. Let me go to the join tab. We create a join. So you have your Crick ODI results and V3. I'll just select Crick ODI results. And while creating a view, you can specify whichever the joins that you want. Like you have 4 types of joins available. You have inner, left outer, right outer, and full outer. You can specify any of these joins when you are creating a view. But when it comes to data modeler, it's only inner join that you can specify. So I have specified the left table and the right table. Then I need to specify the column. I have the team ID and I have the team ID. So we have created a join condition. Then we'll apply the same filter that we have defined in our report. So let me identify the result column. Now if we go to the SQL query tab, so if you see, it has in the database syntactical view, it has specified Crick ODI results, inner join with V cricket feed on the join condition where the filter condition. So this is how you need to specify the query. If in case if you are directly leveraging the SQL query tab, then you can save that. Once you save this, the add to model will get enabled. I'm not saving this. Then the last thing that I wanted to talk about is, suppose we have the dimension table. So the same scenario where you need to fetch the data from multiple, fetch the columns from multiple tables. So this is a scenario where you are building your view and you can just leverage the view after building the view. Suppose you have a particular table in your data model and you want to add it on the newly created or newly added dimension. So how do you do that? You have add columns. So here you specify which table you want to. So I just select cloud customers and it has customer number. So if you remember, on the customer table we just added customer number alone. But now, if you see, the source was V underscore customer. Now it is V underscore customer 2. There was only one column which was customer number. Now you have added, or the customer table, whatever you have added or you have selected, is combined with the customer dimension table. So this is pretty much I wanted to cover with respect to data modeling. Let me go through the presentation in case if I have missed something. So I have explained you how do you create a new DBAS connection. what are the details that is required for newly created connection, and you can have multiple models, and you can switch the connections in a model. So this is a dimension fact model. It is a web application developed using the advanced application developers framework, and you have your multiple models available from March 2016, and you can leverage Oracle database functions. In case if you want to leverage any of the Oracle functions, you can leverage them in your BACS. I've explained you the UI elements. For a locked model, what is that you get? For an unlocked model, what is that you get? And time dimension. So you have a wizard-based time dimension creation. It creates table, loads the data, and it also creates dimension and hierarchy. The data is granulated at day level, and the default data is loaded from 1970 till 2020. So you have the wizard, which allows the selection of hierarchy levels. So you have a view builder. Generally, I have explained you why do you need a view. Then this talks about how do you model your sources from different relation types. And in comparison with your RPD, where you have three different layers, it is a combination of your database pane is pretty much similar to your physical layer, and your data modeler editor is which combines both your VM and presentation layer. It allows one logical table source per logical table. And you don't have aggregated navigation, fragmentation, and federation. In case if you want to leverage any of these functionalities, I've already explained you. Using the RPD lift and shift, you can use that. You can, in case if you want to leverage them, you can use the traditional RPD development for that. And using the RPD lift and shift, you can move the RPD to your BICS. So the same workflow, and you can model your denormalized sources. I have shown you the wizard-based development. In case you have multiple, you have to extract the data from multiple tables. Then you create a view, and you then build this BICS model. So you have, if you have snowflakes and normalized sources, say for example, you want the data to be extracted from products and products category, you create a view named product view, and which has both product and product category columns, and you can leverage that in your BICS model. So this slide tells you what are the ways you create your dimension table using wizard-based or using manual approach. And the properties. It also gives you the hierarchy related properties, the fact. So all these are already explained. I have already shown you where do you specify your object level security and data level security. Then you have your expression editor. You also have your variables. So there are three options for updating the variable value. User signs in, which works pretty much like a session variable. On a schedule, which works like your repository dynamic, and which you have an option do not update, which works pretty similar to your repository static variable. So you have your DB sync. I have shown you multiple ways and what are the limitations of each way. And publish, I have already explained you. What are the tips? So the general tips is, once you upload your OBIE RPD, you cannot edit anything in your data modeler. The only way to edit is you have to move your RPD back to your OBIE, and then you have to make the changes. So one thing that I see is not available with BICS is sequencing of variables. So basically what sequencing of variables means is you have, suppose you have two variables, variable A and variable B. Variable A has to be populated after variable B is populated. So you don't have that sequencing of variables available in BICS for now. So this is pretty much that I wanted to cover with respect to data modeler. I'll stop sharing and I'll pass the control to Arjun. He'll take us through the data loading.
Thank you, Subrata. I hope you can hear me okay. Testing?
Yeah, Arjun, I can hear you.
Very good. So, Subrata, I believe this is the last presentation for day 2?
Correct, Arjun. This is Shiva, Arjun.
Oh, Shiva. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, great. So, thanks everybody for participating. Thank you, Shiva, for presenting such details. That was great. So, the next topic is going to be data loading. I might be able to save you some time, catch up with the time, so you all can focus on the lab on time for the rest of the day. I'm going to share my presentation. Okay. Okay. So you should see my slide now. I'm actually where I was not going to present this week. I was called the last hour, substitute for Jignesh. So, but I'm going to provide you my contact information if you have any questions regarding BICS. Here's my contact information. Please feel free to contact us. In any area that you might have questions. Okay, so let's get this started without any delay. I have 2 presentations. One is the formal one that you have. That is our official PowerPoint. And there might be 1 or 2 slides that I might borrow from something you might have in other slides or different set I might have. And we can also share those with you. But the official presentation is called P09 data loading. Okay, P9 data loading. Okay. So let's go to the whole flow life cycle. Here is really a nice slide that captures you. So you provision your BICS cloud environment, and most likely you're going to load your data. Although we have really skipped a step here, which is you need to design your database before you load it. So if you have your data, you might have a schema on your on-premise database. You might have data already, or you might have brand new schema you're going to create, or you might have already some schema you want to load the database. I mean, you can basically copy into import export. Now, we don't really discuss that here. However, if you are interested how to move your database that already exists somewhere other than cloud environment, we can discuss that with you. Send us an inquiry. We will discuss that with you or provide you some white papers how to move database on-premises to the cloud. Okay? that can be discussed with you. Now, and then we get to this point, how you can load your data. And also, we want to discuss with you that when we're talking about database in cloud, there are many options available. We briefly talk here, and I believe on the last day of class, we go in depth what database options you have available. Okay. So I briefly mention it here that to the extent is appropriate to data loading. And I'm going to take the approach here rather than too much go into details and demo very kind of details here. I want to make sure you understand the bigger picture. And that is probably more important, that is not available for you to learn on your own. And the details to the labs and exercise and other materials I'm sure you can pick up. So assuming you have brought in your database from somewhere, most likely now you're going to load the data.
Yes, Parvin, sorry for the inconvenience. Your screen is very pink in color.
Okay, so let me see if I can rectify that. Why it is the case. So let me see whether is this better now?
Yeah, it's fine now.
Okay. My apology. I have a software that changes the color for kind of anti-glare. So okay. So we are good here now. Now, so if you So briefly, what options we have? What is the database we need to load data into, right? So let's go here. Come back to the slide. There is one database that is absolutely necessary. You cannot have it. Whether you use it or not, it is up to you. That database is 50 gigabytes. And it's a particular database. That database is called schema service. Schema service is really, you can create a schema in it. And the loss of facility, it's a multi-tenant. So there is a lot of things you cannot, it's not accessible to you. But it's a great product, inexpensive. It's fully managed for you, so you don't have to manage it in terms of patches, installation, anything. It's a multi-tenant cloud environment. And there is, of course, size limit to it. And so there are strengths and limitation, and I will kind of briefly talk about strength and limitation of this product. It is not generally used for you to create a data warehouse. It's mostly for testing some schema and playing with the product. But this is the database schema as a service that comes with the BICS. And its size is 50. I do not believe we can increase it. That's a limitation it has. Of course, version to version, release to release, it might change. Okay. It could change version to version. I'm getting feedback to go on a slide. Okay. So you can, or BICS uses that database to put some of its system tables for its own internal use. And it uses a little bit of its 50 gig. But is largely available for you to use if you want it, at least for testing purposes. So that's one schema as a services database that comes to you. You have to pay for it anyway. You can use it, and that could be your database. That's one. The other option that you have, so you have BI cloud services. Is the schema services included. So what other options are available? Actually, there are many, but some I'm listing here. So you could have database cloud. Now, this database cloud comes in a kind of two versions of it. It's a fully Oracle database, There's no limitation in it. The size is very large. Like basically, this is the database you have experience with on-premise. It's a full Oracle database. Okay, with all these options, enterprise options, including clustering, RAG, and so on. So your data could also reside in the database cloud. Okay, that is also database. Or you could also reside in the schema as a service. Or you could partially reside here and there. Okay, it could be in multiple places, and we talk about it. Okay. Or your database could be on-premise because you have it on-premise. You are happy it's a big data warehouse, and you are happy where it is. So you let it be. So we have facility that you can connect your BI CS to access the on-premise database. Okay, on-premise. And for security purposes, there's a certain steps you have to take. You have to go through some installation so we can bypass the firewall and have access to this database on-premise. Okay. So database here, database on the cloud, and database in cloud has two versions. One is that you buy it as a service, or you can have that database cloud service can be on a compute environment. So in that case, you are more responsible for its management. So here in this one, schema service is fully managed. Database cloud services is partially managed, and then if you put it into a IaaS infrastructure as a service, compute environment, you are largely responsible for managing it. So it gives you some more flexibility, but that's the same flavor of the database as if you have experience on premise. Then we go on a data loading. So how do you load this database wherever they are? In one simple way, our answer, we can even end this session, is that however you prefer, however you want to. We are not restricting you, however it is possible. If you have ETL your choice, or there are many ways to load data, so you could follow this best practices you have in your company, load those. Okay? So we don't necessarily, we are going to tell you how to do it. We are saying, do however you want to. Here are some ideas to keep in mind. So that's very important you keep in mind. So these are the kind of a brainstorming or some of the possibilities is available to you. And we want to discuss the pros and cons of it. So however you want to do. And we have definitely some facilities that we can talk about and we will talk about. And so what data can go into BI? If you are Fusion application, customer Fusion apps like HCM, financials, and so on. So we have some connectors that you can pull data and put it into the BI here, and we will talk about it, the strength and limitation. But again, you are not limited to that, and I will talk about what options you have. Okay, you are not limited to those connectors we provide. There are other options you have. And there are other facilities which I will go, and you will see. But again, you can use your own ETL tools and however you prefer. For example, with here, especially if you are using database cloud, either in compute environment or database cloud, most likely any ETL that you had on premise would work with that database cloud. So you may as well continue using that, or some of the suggestions we have, some of the tools we will introduce to you. But one thing we need to understand, this schema as a service has a particular limitation. that it makes it challenging for many tools to work with. So I'm going to go back and forth between some demos to make my point. So I am going to go to SQL Developer, bring it here to show you that what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm bringing SQL Developer. So the point I want to show you that if you want to connect with the schema as a service, is a little bit different. So if I want to go connect to either on-premise Oracle database or database cloud services, from a tool perspective, they exactly look the same. We cannot tell it is a cloud or it is on-premise. For example, here I have a database as a service. If I look at its property, I just continue. I put in my the host name, and depends on how I want to connect, I'm able to connect. Okay. Here's the standard way. Okay. Let's say to JDBC or to SQLnet and so on. Okay. And now, if I have here a schema as a service, first of all, if it doesn't show up with the standard connection, you have to download SQL Developer and particular version of it, and under the cloud connection, you will see these databases, and these are the schema service. And if I look at property, you connect to it in a true URL, not connect to it the way you connect to other Oracle databases. So what that means, there are lots of tools out there, including Oracle tools, that they are not enhanced to connect to schema as a service. Okay. Including, for example, Oracle OBIE admin tool is not able to connect to schema as a service. It's connect to a database as a service, but not schema as a service. So it poses some problem. So, but there are some tools. So there are some limitations that not every tool supports. So that hence, we have some recommendations which tool you want to use, what you can do it. Okay, and still you want to use it. So that's one of the focus of this area. So let's continue with the slide. So here, so however your data is, we are going to do some loading, and then you are also going to model. So if you have, in terms of our modeling, so if you are connecting to a schema as a service, you're going to be able to create a subject area, multiple subject area on top of that particular connection, like a schema as a service. If you're going to connect to database as a service, you can create multiple subject areas. So you do modeling on top of that. You don't have a facility yet that to bring in multiple kind of federate multiple databases, the way you could have in admin tool. So the workaround or the option is, and it will be discussed at some point in this workshop, is the concept of lift and shift. That you use the admin tool, OBIE admin tool, and lift or import your RPD, and you take advantage of RPD that is available to you, admin tool, and bypass some of the limitations that currently exist in data modeler, web-based data modeler. Okay, so that is beyond my presentation, but just something to keep in mind. So we load the data, and then you, of course, report and author, and then you keep loading data, and depends on what tool you use. You can do incremental load. It depends on your tool. and sometimes that load requires certain column exists in your database, so we can do incremental load, okay? And so it kind of cooperation required between the schema and the loader to do incremental. Okay. So here we continue. And here's a very, very simple diagram that BICS require database as a schema, and there's a single sign-on is available. So I'm going to jump to demo. It's back and forth between demo and what we have. So I'm going to, I already logged in. I'm very much like the URL was given to me. It's a trial version, as you have a trial version. So I logged in. I'm logging in. Okay. So if I go to dashboard, and you will see I have a database schema, and I have my business intelligence. Okay. They always come together as a pair. Okay. And then you will see all the users or provision or access both of them. And potentially, it's possible we can have multiple installation of the ICS under this domain. Okay. Okay. So what we are going to focus is how to initially, this is the schema, and load this. Now, I'm not going to too much talk. We can talk if you have a database as a service. That is a standard one. Again, usually we say load it however you want. But what usually I discuss about loading this particular schema as a service also could apply easily to other type of databases. Okay. And if I go to this database, my environment is slow, so I'm not going too much. So I can see some information, statistical information about status of this database. And if I want to go to the database, I can just click go to the service, or I can have a link directly take me to the database. Now, and I have also SFTP available to me. If I want, for example, to import and export those kind of items. I have SFTP. So the console, or the way you can interact with that schema as a service is Apex. Okay, Apex. So you can potentially build application and so on, but that is it's a general Apex information is available, and I actually do not know in terms of your licensing if you are able to really build an application and so on using this. But really, we are using the Apex here mostly as a console to this database. Okay, so in terms of managing loading data and so on. So if I go to the SQL workshop, okay, and I can right now, I can do an object browser. You can see all the tables that is there, okay. Some of these tables are the tables that probably Shiva did a demo for you, and you were able to see this table from your web-based data modeler. Some of the different tables that the ICS uses. And I can see so in that sense, SQL procedures are supported. So the most interesting that we want to show you here And you can, you have access to SQL script and you can create table and so on. So the ones that, because we are on data loading, is a data workshop. So you can come here if you want and load data to your schema as a service. So here is, you can do that. So let's go look at this slide. To give you some idea. So here is basically chart of different facilities that is available in terms of data loading. And at the lower end, which is simple and a casual user, end user, there is more sophisticated users needed. And here's the simpler. We can use at this end, in fact, this is SQL developer, and we can use Apex somewhere here. In fact, the chart here in this slide doesn't exist, and it is right here. So going back here, you can say text data, for example, and you can have existing table. You want it load to the existing table or a new table, and you can upload your data, either copy and paste it. Right here, if I choose copy and paste, or you can just specify where your file is. I don't want to go through the whole demo because I want to make sure I have time for other things and come back if we need to. But maybe it'll be helpful to show you some depth. So choose a file. So I'm going to go here and find a file I can upload here. My brother just died. You can see. I'm going to start it. I do not know why. This Chrome is, I'm using the latest Chrome, so it's a little bit touchy. See, so again, new table. Next. So let me go here and find what I want to load here. So let me find a file that I can load and has some reasonable data. So I'm going to go to PTS workshop, and let's say, and I think we can find something here. Okay. Okay, so we can small thinking. Okay, I'm going to here, load data. Say, data. Refresh something going on here. So you can specify the format of the file for you. I'm going to enter the directory and choose a file that I can, let's say, open it. And I do. So it's a new file, and then CSV files are separated. And here is my schema. You cannot change that table. I can call it Today is February 1. So here is some information, picks up the column, intelligent guess what type it is, and size, and showing me some of the sample data. And I might like what they are. And I choose whether I want to load them or not. It's a very simple, like an ETL type. I create a new column for me for primary key, and then it can go ahead and load the data for me. Okay. And where does it load the data? Because I'm doing it from APAX, the Schema as a Service console. It goes and puts it into that database, and then, of course, I can see it here, and also it becomes available to me from my data modeler, from that data modeler that I'm connected to this Schema as a Service. So that's the one simple way you can load it up. So it is not necessary. It's a good thing you have some quick set of data, and you want to load it to your data model, to the subject area. So that's the one we can do. Okay, let's go back to our slide. Okay. We just talked about one way you can load the data. So let's see other ways that we can load data. So I'm going to go through the slide shortly and discuss some of the concept that is in slide, but first I want to go through the demo. Okay, so we did one way there. The other way that we can load data that is somewhat maybe more popular relative because you can write a script to do that, right? Make it script-based. So that is another option that they have. So basically, you need to be able to connect with your source of data. So you go to the SQL developer, and choose your source, and then you choose your target. Again, my comment here is the ones that I am demoing here and talking about is more recommended for a Schema as a Service. If you are not using a Schema as a Service, you still can use these tools that I'm discussing. But maybe other options might be more viable, might be more familiar to you. But because again, Schema as a Service, not every tool is connected. Particularly, we're going to list them here. Okay, using Schema. So if you go to any of these, unfortunately, because of short denial, some of the database I don't have connection, but I give you the concept and through the slides. First, I'm going to talk about it and go through the slides, and you will see as I have done a demo. So what we do here, we choose, for example, a particular table inside any database we choose. Database could be cloud services, database could be on-premise. We choose a particular table, and basically we create something called a card. We create a card. You could put it inside the card. So that card extracts the data, and package the data. And once it extracts and packages the data, we are able to move it. SQL developer is able to move it and put it inside a directory inside the cloud services. Okay. And then the Schema as a Service is checked and look for that file and kind of frequently, and then once it sees that file, and package it and load it into a database because it has all the information there. If you want, you can create that package which has your data in it, and you can manually to SFTP, put it in that directory, and then the schema service picks it up and populate the table for you. Either one is possible. You can move that file, which is basically the record of a particular table, a partial portion of that table, and then you can have a script that does it. Okay. It particularly makes sense to do that because it has connection to the and if you open that schema as a service, you will see it is basically this by class connection. A lot of features of SQL Developer is not available here. You cannot right click on it. So that's another method, and more on that coming when I do the slide presentation. Okay. What else is available here? What else you can do here? So we come here. The other one is through the REST API. So let's go ahead and discuss the REST API. Concepts and everything. So before doing that, this just happens to be on this slide. So let's go through the slide for the SQL Developer very quickly to get a feeling of it. Okay. There's a particular table. Create a connection to your schema as a service, and most likely for the purpose you have in mind, you have to enter the credential for your SFTP. And when you get that, the credential available in the console. And here is the console. It shows you SFTP. Okay. This is the username, the password you have to the system administrator from the system administrator. So you enter the SFTP information here. This is a mandatory if you want the SQL developer to move that export file or the card file into a directory where schema service is residing. So you create a card. So how do you create a card? Here is you can, as a part of your preference, you tell the system where your card is going to reside, where this package file is, that so-called zip file, etc. It will reside where your SQL developer is in a directory you specify. So we take the default. So that's one thing you do. And you right-click on a particular table, and then you choose a table that you want, and you can say, I want that package and create a data definition language. It has data. Or you can say, you write the script and it has a where clause that you can only be a partial portion of that table. Okay. And you can have the script before load and after load, and those kind of things possible. So you create your card, and that is your card is created, and it puts it in a particular directory, and that's the one that you have to go and transfer it. That shows what is in the card. So that's one way to do it. And then here is the way if you want to script it. So through this script, it is able to call SQL developer and load it for you. Okay. So let's move on. I will answer any question that you might have. You have access to data. Here is a lot of information here for in terms of incremental load and so on. So all this information is available. And now we go to the REST API. What is this REST API? We don't really have too much time to talk about what is the REST API and so on. Just probably by now everybody is knowledgeable. In the short term, it's simple programmatic way of making the application behave. By web services. So in BICS, we are able to go to the BICS, and through the BICS we can create tables. To what table? BICS is connected to the schema as a service, right? BICS is always connected to some kind of schema as a service. So we go to the BICS and we tell BICS through REST API to create a table for us and load some rows for us. So programmatically, we are able to create a table and load data. In addition, the other REST API, we can get information about the database tables. You can, for example, describe that particular table or load that particular table. So there is not a huge number of REST API, but there are enough REST API that you can create your table in the database that the BICS is connected to and load them. Now, there are two types of REST API. One is database itself. Database itself has a REST API, and there's a lot of information is available, and a lot of information available, and through the APIs, you can have access to them. Okay. So here you can have access to the database REST API. So you can go directly to the database REST API, interact with the schema and building. Or you can go through the ICS and then load data or interact with that schema. Okay, so two types of REST API. Both of them are available to you. So the ones that we are going to talk here is the ones that REST API and BICS REST API. And here's some example of it. You can create, update, and delete data. Get, create, delete indexes. Get tables, statistics, and other general information. And then also you can clear the BI server cache. Or you can just programmatic. So these are programmatic ways. So you can achieve basically the same thing. Now these are very powerful because they can be, REST API can be script-based. If you can, for example, use curl tables or, functions, a package. If there are other REST API, those are more, has a very powerful graphical interface. You can use that like SQL developers through the UI can invoke REST API and load your tables or get information about your tables. So again, graphically or programmatically, those are all available to you. We have examples of that. Okay. So I will show you a couple of examples. We use these are basically HTTP methods that we use, get, put, delete, and we associated meaning to each one of them. So here, and there's a good documentation what the meaning are. So we have get. So we have list table. If we put, translate to create table in our context. So these are the methods, and then the functionality within the context we use. Okay. different. So here, this is a very good one. So this is the method, this is the functionality, and then basically similarity of this functionality if you want to do SQL, right? Create table SQL works like that, right? And then this is of course related to HTTP, how the body of the request looks like, and we have example of it. So okay, and then if you have and here shows the content type where you want like a file that if you want to create a table, what the table description would be. If you have to have it is a JSON file, and through that URL, it shows information, not only just this is the method we need to create, and then the URL shows the name of the table and the information is coming and so on. So these are just all kind of REST API. But the key here is we have this basic functionality. And we didn't have, for example, clear cache before it was added. So it's possible we might get more functionality in additional REST. Here's a bit more. Table name, index name, the URL, find height. So these are, again, this is a very nice documentation that's available to you, available on the internet that you can use. I usually use a short demo based on curl, and some demo based on the UI, like there are lots of UI-based tools to invoke a REST API. But here, let's just use the curl one. Let me go to it directly. Slide 43. There's a request to explain 43. Okay. Is that slide? Okay, so if you don't mind, I will come back and explain slide 43. I wonder, which are you talking about? This slide? Is it that the slide that you? So let me give you. Let's go to the example. Okay. So if the sample information is available to you, I think we have it. Let's look at one of the sample here. So we have. Let me open it. Okay. So first of all, I have get. You see, so I'm invoking curl. Curl is basically an application. You can download that application that you pass some parameters to it. You pass some parameters to it based on the curl documentation, and then it's able to basically call the REST API to make a connection to your destination, okay, and get the result back. So here I call the curl, and then I tell it where I want to go. first I'm saying what the user code and passwords are. In my environment, I have a tenant name, which I put in my domain, and then this is my URL, where I want to go. So this URL is the most important. I mean, everything is important. First, for you to understand what this does, we have to go and look at the get. So, based on the documentation, I come back here, and based on this one, it says retrieving a resource. Okay, so I have a resource. The method get is usually that's a very general description. I go further, and here, and for me, in my content account, it is list tables optionally matching input patterns. Okay, so it says list the table, describe basically that table, the table that is available in my schema. So it's a list. And here, if I want to, optionally, I can say list the table that meet these patterns. So I go back here. I do get method. And my URL specify my URL. This URL changes its format depends on my method. Okay. And here I'm having basically I'm telling it bring back all the tables, list of all the tables. And of course, there's some information I need to know is where to go and get the table. So, here's my particular password and my tenant URL. And, the header changes depending on what kind of connection you have. Some connections for database, if you want to go use database, it doesn't have one that has a tenant number and a tenant. Other application will not have tenant name. The header will change. So I can go back to here. Here it is. I can run this here as I did. Bring to this, or first is I do run list. Okay, you can see it brings me the table. Quality, geography, PM. This is the list of the table. List of the table. We can look at another example. Load about, let's look at. So here I go get, this is the get again. So if I go get, this is get, describe table. So in this one, describe the revenue, the SQL, describe that particular table. So I do a get, and that's my URL should look like, and that is the table name. Okay. I want to describe the table, like the people that I want to do. This is really the kind of people we can do. So if I want to do this, describe that table, I have to use the method get, and my URL is built like that. And I put that particular table. So let's go back here. I do get, and here my URL is, I can run that. So let's do something more interesting. If I do For example, load. Okay. So for load is put. Okay. And load is put. So I go back here. So put is create a table. Just create a table. So let's go back here. Click that. So this is a tenant name as before. And where the information is coming is that described in the kind of shows the information about it. I want to create a table, and that table might have, let's say, 100 columns. Where do I specify? Here I'm saying there is a file, and here is a file, and I can put a directory at the current directory. And here it is. That's the file, JSON file. That's a JSON file that has information about my table. And here, go back to here, put, and the name of the table that I want to create, it should be on my URL. I go back here. This is the table I want to create. Origin underscore borders between, and information about that table here. So if I go back here and look at the create table, let me put the table here. The column name is type length is a null or not. So anyway, it's not complicated, it's just a matter of values. So let's move on. So we have so far seen as a possibility to use Apex directly, the console to the schematic service. That's one way of loading, or use SQL Developer, or use a REST API. Those are options. When you have a REST API, you could potentially embed it into your, use your ETL, and use your ETL to call this REST API. In latest release of ODI, we have knowledge module that is able to populate the schema as a service. Okay, the schema as a service. Okay. Now the other one, we have another, other than this method, we have a tool, it's called DataSync. And in order to, you can load the DataSync from internet, from Oracle website, and or you can, I believe you can come here and load it from here. So how did I get here? So I was on BICS, okay. I went to the console, and I went to download, and under the console there's a download option. So it takes me directly to where I can download the BI and DataSync. Also I usually go directly by Googling it and find it here. So to download, it's a standalone version, okay. And it's a very simple tool. It's fairly powerful, but it's not difficult to work. So it's a general purpose. It's not necessarily ETL. It does extract and load. That's possible. It's like a data movement. It is rather weak in terms of transformation, but it's kind of powerful in terms of data movement. So it's a kind of like, if you just want to move the data from source to target, and it is able to move data to schema and service. So this particular tool understands and knows how to connect to the schema and service. In fact, it connects to the schema and service to the REST API. It's invisible to you, but there's a tool that does that. So let's take a look at it quickly, and then we spend the time on questions. So you have basically 3 steps. and I believe you have labs. So you create as many as you want, source and target. So where your source and target are. For example, here is my target is BICS, and here's my BICS. You enter the URL. The same URL that I entered here. URL that I entered here. I'm sorry, this one is not the same thing here. This one is connected to the schema as a service, but here we connect to the BICS, and BICS then connect to the schema as a service. So I have to enter that URL where my BICS is. Where is that? It's very simple. If I go to here, this is my URL. This is my URL. That's my URL. So if I go here, here's my URL. Okay. And then you enter your credentials. So let's see, it's current. I'm connected to target. So I can connect to other places. I can have connection to on-premise database. This guy working. Whatever I can connect. So it's very powerful where you can connect. Also, I can connect to the BI connectors to my Fusion application. So why a Fusion application? Because of the following. If you remember, we had this slide. Here we have connectors that we can go to Oracle SaaS, software as a service, and connect them and bring data here. So you can, you bring data other ways. You don't have to go to the connectors we have. The other options you have, you can go to your Fusion application and take advantage of their export facility. That's one way. You export it. And then once you export it, then you can get the result of that, let's say, CSV file and put it into your schema as a service to, let's say, Apex method. Or you can put it in a database cloud that way. That's one option. Or you can go in your Oracle and then you can access the, let's say, physical database inside the Fusion application and use BI Publisher and download the entire table or multiple tables and then use the method of your choice to populate the database. Any database that you might have in mind. That's the option. But if you want not to go through those methods and the information that you want to bring into a database that BICS is accessing, and those information you want to bring to the attention of BICS can be captured. You see, that's very key. If the information that you want to bring from Fusion application can be captured through the OTBI, what is OTBI? OTBI is the built-in BI facility inside the Fusion application. If you can capture the data that you want through the OTBI, and then we can use those connectors. But if the information that you want cannot be captured through the OTBI, then you have to use other methods. Most likely, what you want can be captured through OTBI, but OTBI does not have access to all the data in the SaaS database. It has access to partial set of data. If you are happy with that partial data, then you can use those connectors. So how do you use those connectors? You can go to data things, make a connection to the Fusion application. Here I'm connecting to HCM. Let's say I do a test. Okay, I'm able to connect. So you have connection here. You list the connection, and then you go. Second tab is called project. Okay. Through that project, you define basically what your source is, what your target is, and how you move the data. If you want to do a little bit of transformation. Okay. You can say, I want to get the data from OTBI tables or get the table from that particular database. So it depends on where you want the data. So you can get the data from a database table. You can write your SQL. So you can go, in that case, if you write your own SQL, you can do a join between many tables. Or you can do filtering. You can potentially do transformation. So you can bring a data, sets of data according to your criteria, according to whatever that SQL can do, and transform it to SQL statements, and then move it to the target. And your target can be a schema as service, database as service. It could be, on-premise data, or wherever you want to put the data. Or your target or your source could be OTBI analysis subject area from Fusion application, and then it goes to the target. And then after that, you create the project, you run this project. And you can run this project based on the scheduler. You can run a scheduler. It can be incremental. And also, you can invoke these, whatever projects you have created and jobs, and you can do it through scripts. Okay, so scripts menu. So you can read the documentation about data streams, how to write scripts and run the job through scripts. Okay. So let's see what else left. We are kind of over our time. So I'm going to, I think I have covered the highlights, what we want to talk about. And if I'm going to answer a question. If not, I'm going to quickly go to the slides to make sure we have not missed anything that is important in the slides. And you can review the slides. If you have any questions, you can ask tomorrow or contact me directly. I will be more than happy to work with you, especially if you are working on a project. So let's see if there is any outstanding question. It seems like all the questions are answered by my colleague. Let me look at my other chat. Okay, so there is a question on slide 43. Let's go to slide 43. So I think I explained. So if you please describe to me what is it basically your question is on that particular slide. Okay. So please elaborate on the question. Shiva, there was a question. Is it answered or? Okay. I got the answer from Jignesh. Okay. Okay. To my colleagues, I do not know if you want me to do an additional demo or we are done or anything you want to further want me to elaborate. Is a good time. Okay. So, yes.
Nothing further. Can you just make me the presenter? I'll just show him the labs and we can close for the day.
Okay. I will do that.
So, let me show you the labs for the day. So, yesterday we have a learn more PDF where we have seen till slide number 11. So today you can work on slide 12 and 13. That is on learn more PDF. So you have your lab book 2. So in lab book 2 you have lab 6 which talks about modeling. So ignore this lab 6. We have a separate document available for lab 6. Lab 7 and lab 8 can be explored from the lab book 2. So while data modeler PDF opens, you can also explore advanced analytics, BICS REST API, data mashup, DB REST API, map example. You can take up the modeling test. You have viewlets. So these are the labs that you can do for today. And there is one point that I want to mention with respect to the data modeler lab. So you have 7A and 7B. So there is a decision point that you need to make in your environment. If you have the BICS revenue FT2 table, then you can perform both 7A and 7B. In case if you do not have the BICS revenue FT2 table, then go to lab 7B. So here you have cloud bill revenue table. So you can, this is available for all the environments. So in case if you do not have BICS revenue FT2, then lab 7B is the lab for you. In case if you have BICS revenue FT2 table, then lab 7A and 7B are for you. So these are the labs for today. We'll keep the WebEx open for another 10-15 minutes, post which you can, in case if you have any questions, you can post it in the Q&A. It will say skip lab 6 in skip lab 6, which is the data modeling lab, because we have a separate lab guide for data modeling, and hence I asked you to skip in the lab book 2. So in case if you have any questions, please post it in the Q&A. After 15 minutes, we'll close the WebEx, post which you can post in the forum. Thanks for your participation. Thanks for your time. We'll meet tomorrow at 9 a.m. We have provided you viewlets. Does the functional people have to do the technical labs? Since this is a technical session and you have attended the technical session, it is up to you whether you can, you want to take up the labs or not, Francis.
This is guys. Just to add to Shiva, although it sounds like a technical lab, some of the modeling activity I would recommend you can try. So that is something many power users also does on their own modeling and creating reports, right? So the modeling is something it's quite useful to understand and it's easy to follow. The data loading portion may be a little bit more technical, so if you want to avoid that, for functional people, that should be fine. Right? And for modeling, as you go to the lab, make sure that you name the model with your initial, starting with your initial, right? So you can have multiple models, everybody can work on their own model without impacting anybody else. So just like catalog item, model, or any object you create, just try to give your initial as a starting letter for your object name. Okay, so that will keep it separate from everybody else. Okay, otherwise, it should be straightforward. Is this something we load into BICS? Tejas, can you explain what are you referring to when you say load into BICS? Okay, thanks. Thanks, Shiva and Parvin. If you want to drop off, that's fine. I'll keep the WebEx open for another 10 minutes and then I will start tomorrow morning.
No, grabo nada, güey. No manches.